we're now into the second half of this worldwide broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll continue with open phones in this hour into the next. Darrel Rundus joins us to talk about his new website, youdonews.com. We will also, in the last 30 minutes, have Stewart Rhodes on. He was on MSNBC yesterday. Kurt Nimmo wrote a story about it for Infowars.com. And you would have thought that he was the second coming of Satan. You would have thought that Stewart Rhodes, this Harvard graduate, constitutional law, top of his class, ran the Law Journal, one of Ron Paul's top aides in Congress previously, paratrooper in the Army. He starts Oath Keepers, police and military by the tens of thousands pledge and join. They say, we're going to follow the Bill of Rights and Constitution. We're not going to confiscate guns. We're not going to bring in tyranny. We're not going to have citizen spies and secret police. We're not going to impose martial law. We're not going to destroy state sovereignty. And they went after him. That's coming up later as well. I want to break this down and play some of those clips. In fact, in the time we have Stewart on today, I'll probably play a short clip of the 10-minute segment when he's on from MSNBC, but later in this hour, because Bob Chapman was in the Army and then in intelligence against the Russians, he can comment on this and the incredible propaganda of the host of Slimeball, Chris Slimeball Matthews. So that is coming up. Also have this giant stack of important news. I mentioned, got into some in the first hour, but I want to go over news with Bob Chapman today. Barack Obama sees worst poll rating drop in 50 years. Drug makers report record profits on their swine flu fear-mongering Boston Globe. Good news on that front here. New York suspends mandatory flu shots for health workers, so the people are standing up to this. We'll also get into the hate crimes bill's been signed that federalizes your local police and turns them into political police like the commissars in Russia. FDA to take over more control over food supply and businesses preparing food. LA Times reports on that. Good news, the Financial Times / Harris poll finds that close to 3 out of 4, right at 3 out of 4 U.S. adults deny that climate change is man-made and believe it's a fraud to make money in tax. So the good news is the polls are more than reversing themselves. Just 4 or 5 years ago, over 60% in the polls I saw supported man-made global warming hypothesis and global tax. So that's all coming up, plus a great article written for the International Forecaster by Bob Chapman. Federal Reserve runs our country. We'll go over that today. He joins us every Friday. Bob Chapman, of course, at a time had the biggest financial newsletter in the world. He retired for several years, came back. It's theinternationalforecaster.com. Incredibly accurate predictions and projections on what's going to be coming up in the future. We'll be talking about the dollar, about the stock market, about gold, about everything that's happening today. Bob Chapman, always great to have you up with us.
Well, thank you very much. It's just great to be here again.
Instead of throwing out all my questions first, what is most important on Bob Chapman's plate? What is front and center on Bob Chapman's radar?
Well, I think there's two things. Number one, Ron Paul's 1207 and the 604 in the Senate for the investigation and audit of the Fed. I see that they're trying to add things to it. They've got a couple of other people, Democrat and Republican, who have entered things in, and Ron's done a tape on it. I have it in tomorrow's issue. And I think that's so important for the American people, because if we can expose what the Fed's done and is doing, then the public will say, well, gee, we don't want that anymore, and we'll do away with it. And that is the heart, in the core, of what they run everything in America from. The Fed is their key, so to speak, for control of our economy and lots of other things. I think the second thing is for people to realize that, Alex and I were on together with Dr. Roberts. It must have been about 9 months ago, and we both said we thought this situation with money and the dollar was going to continue for about 1.5 to 2.5 years. And Alex, you thought it would happen more quickly. And I'll still stick to that. I think we're a year and a half to 2 years away. And in January, as you know, I come out and said that I thought that there would be an official value devaluation about a year and a half to two down the line. And
almost 11 months ago, at the start of this year, you said gold was going to go well above 1,000 by the fall. You were right about that. You said the stock market would run back up to near previous highs before they plunged it again. And so you just continue right down the line to be accurate.
Thank you very much. But the important thing is for people to prepare themselves. And I know that you're big on gold and silver coins, and I think everybody else should be. And I think it's extraordinarily important that you move a good part of your wealth into that area. And I'm not going to belabor it, but that's the third most important thing, because we've only completed phase one. We're going to go through phase two of the increase in gold and silver prices, and so that will bring us up to somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000. And then phase three should take us close to $7,000. Whether it'll go anywhere from that, any further than that at that time, I don't know. But official inflation, I figure, is about $6,700 an ounce based upon 1980's 850 high in gold. And John Williams, who's a wonderful economist, thinks it's going to be 7,150, and I won't argue with him. And so those are the top things in my agenda.
All right, let me stop you there. Let me be devil's advocate, and I've got my money in gold and silver, but let me be devil's advocate here. Gold could start going down. I'm going to hold on to mine because I know they're going to kill the dollar. I know you can't trust the system. And I like the sure bet. I don't have gold and silver as an investment. I have it as a hedge on inflation, as an emergency insurance policy. But certainly, I bought most of the gold and silver I had when silver was $5 an ounce and gold was $290, $300. The issue here, but you don't see me selling my meager supplies now that it's at 1,060 plus right now, almost quadrupling now we're moving up on. That said, when I start seeing CNN, Fox, MSNBC, CNBC, like infomercials for gold and silver, saying it's going to go way above 2,000 this year, early next year, it's a guarantee, then I go, wait a minute, these guys almost always lie or have a trick up their sleeve or are trying to bamboozle somebody to pull the rug out from under them. Or are they just capitulating and going with it because the elite are already so deep in gold and silver, they've always planned to kill the dollar. Now they're starting that, so why shouldn't they run it up because they already own it? What's going on?
It's the latter. And yes, they do have gold and silver, and they have a great deal of it, and they usually, like we, take physical delivery. And the dollar has been destined for a long time to collapse. At least from the heights that it had been before, and so the process of what you're seeing now, and I'll give you a good example: J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Barclays, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank have all said that they think the gold over the next few years is going to 2,000 to 2,500. Now, what they're doing is they're covering their tracks because later they can say, well, look, we told you. They don't talk about it every day. Those estimates were made several months ago. And what they're doing is saying, well, gold is going to go up, and we think it's going to go to where official inflation says it should be, which is somewhere between $2,300 and $2,500 an ounce. And so consequently, they have exceeded that. But in the meantime, the deal is that you see on television who are advertising, they know the same thing that you and I and Ted know, that it is going up there, and that's why you're seeing the ads. And so in part, they have given in, and they're giving up 2,000 to 2,500. But in doing that, what they're saying is, we don't think it's going any higher, and we're saying it now. And when we get there, they'll say, yeah, we said it was going here, but it isn't going any higher.
So you think they're putting an artificial ceiling on the inflation because gold isn't really going up. The dollar and paper assets are going down because of the derivatives.
That's true, and every other currency is going down. Now, lately, most of them have done fairly well against gold because the dollar's going down. And that will continue to happen over time, but sooner or later, all the fiat currencies are going to get hit versus gold.
Is that pushing? Is that pushing the announcement in the last 2 weeks that now foreign nations majority are purchasing foreign currencies, not dollars? They've officially left the dollar, but that starts the decline, or can that be reversed?